This is the story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. But really, this is the story of the evil gallbladder. Once upon a time, in the early 2000s, I was living with my now ex-husband in Baltimore City, Maryland. I started having pains in my chest, but it wasn't like a heart pain or chest pain, really. It was more to the middle left side of things. I had an inkling of what it was. And just to give you an idea of the type of man my ex-husband was and why he is an ex, I asked to go to the ER because it was the kind of pain during one very bad bout where I was slamming myself against the floor because I was trying to make the pain stop. So maybe if I jarred myself, it would knock the gallstone. I was trying to knock it loose. So I asked him if we could go to the ER. And he said to me, and looked me in the face, to wait it out. And if it's still this bad, in a couple of days, we'll go. The pain wouldn't stop. I was miserable. It's been going on for 2 weeks. Non-stop. Some days were worse than others. I wasn't able to eat. I was barely able to drink. I couldn't keep anything down. The pain was so horrendous. I was vomiting bile. I don't know how it came loose or why it stopped, but it did after a couple of days. He still wouldn't let me go to the ER. I had to wait it out. It was miserable. And if any of you have had an infected gallbladder and gallstones, kidney stones, you know what kind of pain I'm talking about. It is indescribable. Fast forward 7 years. I had been in Gettysburg now for 3 years at that point. And I was still having gallbladder episodes. I hadn't had them that bad again, but 2 years prior to that when I was staying at my mom's house in transition from Baltimore to Gettysburg. She helped me escape. That weekend, there was a summer weekend party. It might have been Labor Day. And we were outside in the common yard with the grill running, and we were making food and having a really nice time. Well, most everyone was having a nice time. I was trying to put on a brave, happy face, but I was in so much pain. I was so miserable. I was pale. And I thought I was just dealing with some food poisoning or something. My mom goes home on Sunday afternoon after the party was over, and, she stayed the night, and then she left the next afternoon. Luckily, she's only an hour and a half away. And this kind of comes into play in a moment. So, she leaves. I go to lay down because I was tired and take a nap. A little while later, and my mom, I don't even think made it home yet. I start going through this kind of pain that I've only had twice before. The kind of pain where I was slamming myself against walls or floors just to make it stop. Luckily, in my condo building, there's only a handful of units. And at that time, only about half of them were full. And the neighbors I had next to me were some of the sweetest people I've ever met in my life. And so I was going through this thing. I couldn't stand up straight. I couldn't put on clothes. And I was going through this panic, like, what if I called 911? How am I supposed to put on any clothes? I waited a little bit of time. Tried to see if I could get the shower to work, if I could rest, if I could do anything to make this stop. So I sit there, bawling. The pain was so intense. I've never felt pain like that before. And if you know anything about me, you know that I have a progressive, degenerative spinal disease. So I have felt some pain, but I've never felt that kind of pain. And that's saying something. I waited a little bit longer. I called my next door neighbor who shared a wall with me. And I said, John, we'll call him John. Can you please take me to the ER? I think something is really wrong. He says, are you sure? Do you think you need to go right now? And I said, yes. Somehow I knew something and it was bad and I needed to go right now. And it would have been easier, not only cheaper, to have my friend take me, and for the fact that even if I were to go through ambulance, I would need to notify somebody here because I would need someone to look after my dog and my cat and to contact my mom. He wasn't asking to try to get out of it. He was asking to make sure that I really knew what I really needed to do. He dropped everything. Him and his partner dropped everything in that instance. He had me sit up front, and I was holding on to the oh shit bar, you know, that little handle on the side on the top. I was holding on to that, and there was a little oh shit bar in front on the dashboard. I was just holding myself upright so I would not be jostled so much, and all I could do was cry and moan, and him and Maria, they were looking scared. I was feeling scared. You know, they kept trying to reassure me that we're going to be there soon. We're going to take care of you. We're going to stay with you until mom can get here or whatever. I'm like, you don't have to do that. It's fine. I appreciate it. I hate to ask one more thing of you, but can you take Monet over? I told them where to find his food and things that he needed. Then he said, yeah, that's no problem. Don't worry about it. My dog, Monet, and their dogs got along very well together. They played all the time. So if someone was needing to babysit my dog, they would be the perfect people. They are dog people. They know what they're doing. And he loved them. We get there. I walk in. I'm hunched over. I am pale as anything. The reception says, no, you need to come with me right now, right over here, and we're going to page something. And we are going to page someone right now. I'm like, okay. And so they had another triage nurse come in, ask me a whole bunch of questions, as they're supposed to, as they should. And they helped me immediately. What's your pain level out of 10? I said, 12. I'm at 12. They're like, okay. I can tell. I just need to ask. So she gave me some really delicious morphine. It's like a warm hug on the inside. The relief I felt after days was amazing. My friends, they came in with me when I was able to have like a visitor or whatever. After the whatever they had to do, all the private stuff, and then they let them come in. Because they thought they were family. And for all intents and purposes, they are. And so, being high on morphine, the doctor comes in. Definitely think there was some imaging. I think there was some x-rays. The doctor came in so fast after that. He says, did you know that if you waited any more time before you came here, you probably would be dead by now? I'm like, well, thanks. That's encouraging. So he was trying to explain to me that I had gallstones, a really large one, stuck in the common hepatic duct, the duct that is shared between the liver and the pancreas, and they needed to remove it. So they get me admitted really fast. My neighbors called my mom. They're like, hey, this is the deal. Your daughter's in the ER. We've got Monet. We are going to check out Grace, make sure she's okay. Don't worry about anything over there. She's in the ER. Her gallbladder is seriously infected. She's being admitted. And yes, I did give them permission to tell my mom everything. So I was admitted. They put me on NPO, nil by mouth, no eating anything or drinking anything by mouth. So they put me on an IV with all of the nutrients. I was on that IV for 2 weeks in total. I also had a lady in the bed, and she was loud. She was obnoxious. She liked to butt into everything. And I would be talking to my mom. I would try to be doing it quietly. She'd always have something to say about something. And then, oh my God, she would make phone calls at like midnight to her daughter who was either in rehab or something. And then there would be arguments and whatever on the phone. And I'm like, I am dying. Please, I want to sleep. I was eventually moved to my own room. Not the next day, but the day after. They were waiting for my bilirubin to come down. It's something that your liver releases when your body is in distress. Gallstone had lodged itself so well into my duct that the enzymes produced by the pancreas were unable to move around and do their job and go through the duct, that they started to be excreted outside of the pancreas and start to eat the pancreas. I had an ERCP, endoscopy procedure to remove a gallstone, but they lost it. They had to cut into the duct itself to get endoscopy tools to get to it, but they lost it. It was floating around someplace after that, and they brought me out, and they're like, well, we lost it, but we did get several others, and they were quite sizable. I was, kept on IVs. I couldn't eat. I was so weak. I was so tired. Everything just hurt all the time. And a couple days after that, I finally went in to get my gallbladder removed. They removed it. And they brought me back out, still on IVs for nutrients. 2 days after that, I had a second ERCP where they did locate the gallstone that they missed, and they pulled out a few others. I was in there for a total of 2 weeks. And you would like to think that that was the end of this story. It is not. So they released me. And this 2 weeks, about maybe 10 days after my initial admission. I had 3 surgeries in a week. I had another week of enzymes, medications, observations, treatments to help my body get back to doing what it's supposed to be doing. My mother and I go to Sweet Frog, which is a frozen yogurt place. And I had just been able to start eating solid foods again. And so they suggested starting with easy food. I got a delightful red velvet frozen yogurt with some fruit, like some strawberries and some other things. I can't remember what it was. So I tried to eat it. I ate like half of it, and then I felt this nauseating burning sensation. Just chalked it up to being tired and sore and painful and needing to take my next dose of painkillers, which they gave me. And luckily we were not far. We never left Gettysburg, so we were just minutes from home. So we got home. My mom put me straight to bed. She says, do not get up. If you need something, I'm here. So she gave me my next pills to take. There were some things, there was like some enzymes that I was given, and they're like, if she has a fever over this, or if she starts throwing up, you need to bring her back in right away. So I go to lay down. I was okay. I was in so much pain. I mean, not as bad. It was more like achy surgical incisions, and there's this increasing burning sensation. It felt so hot. I tried to swallow a pill, and I gagged, and I started throwing up. My mom heard. She says, okay, we got to get you back right now. Mom, I just gagged, she says. Then she came in and looked at me. She says, your face is yellow. You are jaundiced. And she felt my head. She says, you have a fever. You're throwing up. We're going back right now. It's like, but I just got out. Can you just give me a second to, like, pee or something? in my own bathroom for a change. She says, okay, I'll give you a few minutes. Put on some regular clothes. I was in my pajamas. And we'll go back in. I will call them, let them know you're coming. And so, I went to go change and use the restroom. And then I saw this just patch of, I don't know what that was, but I called my mom straight in. I'm like, Mom, what's that? Is that supposed to be there? She says, no, get your clothes on. We're going right now. So we went, and I showed the triage nurse. We checked in. They put me right back. And I got that checked out. They're like, you're bleeding internally. We need to fix this right now. Luckily, it seemed that it was a small leak. And so they kept me in for another few days, monitoring that. They gave me some medications, I think, and they gave me some time and close monitoring. They monitored the big black patch, which was pooled blood. They needed to have me under close observation in case the leak got worse. So I was in the right place if something were to happen. But luckily it stopped, and then the large black patch, which was my entire right side of my torso, above my breast, and down onto my hip, just the whole thing, black. They kept me in for a couple of days, got the bleeding under control. It started to recede, and it started to turn into a regular bruise, because my body was absorbing the blood and breaking it down like it's supposed to. So finally, things started working properly. I was able to eat solid food. I was able to use the restroom on my own. I was able to get up and move around, and they sent me home. Luckily, things went swimmingly. My mom went back to work. I was feeling better. I was getting around better. And I obviously am fine. I'm still here, and I'm still alive. That was definitely a tale and a half. And this is why it could never have been told on stream, because I would get too distracted. And it's not a short story, and there's no way to make it a short story because it happens many years before the biggest incident. But that was important to tell. I hope you enjoyed the build and the story. I will have all of my links down below. Let me know of any other stories you would like to hear, other builds you would like to see from me. And I can't wait for us to work on the next build together. Thank you so much for listening. May you be well, happy, and peaceful, and I will see you on stream. Bye, everyone.